I create cool content. Wow. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Rudy Elizabeth, and today I'm going to talk about my gap year. Basically, I'm going to take you by month, event by event, I guess, breakdown of how I spent my gap year. All right, so for starters, in May, I graduated university in May. I got a bachelor's of science in public health with a minor in chemistry. And so honestly, I was actually planning to return that summer and just finish tutoring. So for a year and a half in undergrad, I tutored Gen Chem through Biochem for my university, as well as the tech school down the street. So that summer, I had the option to stay on as kind of like a graduate tutor, kind of, just take a random class or whatever. And I was going to, but they left me with the option that if I did find something when I went home for graduation for like 2 weeks, if I found something, then it was perfectly fine. One of my friends, she was pre-PA and she mentioned scribing in the emergency room. And I was like, oh yeah, they did come and talk to us at one of our pre-health professional meetings. So I looked at the company and I applied, and I was interviewed in actually a week. And I started training in June. So I completed, I believe, 12 days, full days of training. So 5 days were in class training. So we did a lot of book work, medical terminology, writing, how to write charts, etc. Just all the basic stuff that you need to know as a scribe. And then obviously, as I began scribing the rest of the year, I learned a lot more. So after my in-class sessions, I went on to do my in-hospital shift sessions, learning sessions. Basically, I would follow a trainer for my 8 or 12-hour shift of that day. And I would, in the beginning, I kind of watch them create their charts. I would go to the patient's room with them, everything. And I would just kind of watch them, every now and then they'd let me do something. And then by the third of those shifts, I started taking over. And then by the 7th of my training shifts, I was responsible for creating the chart, doing all the phone calls, etc. So you might be wondering, what the heck is a scribe? So basically, I was an emergency room scribe. There are different types of scribes. I know some scribes that specialize in ortho clinics or urology, etc. We did have some scribes in my company that did actually branch out and start scribe programs at specialty offices, which was super cool. I just knew for sure this was going to be a one-year thing for me, so I never really branched out. What I was responsible for was seeing the patients with either the PA, NP, or the MD or DO. So I would be assigned to a specific provider for the night, or if it was a PA, we actually would split those shifts. So if it was an MD or DO, I would spend the entire night or the entire day with that person. And I would see patients with them. I would create their charts. I would add in stuff about labs. I would contact for consults. So I'd call ortho, I'd call neurosurgery, I'd call urology, and have them call me or my provider back on our phone. I was mainly just responsible for all the documentation that it goes into a patient encounter. And I loved it. I had so much fun. I know this is super weird coming from someone that's currently in pharmacy school, but granted, I learned so much about pharmacy that it's ridiculous. I met 2 ER pharmacists that I absolutely adore, and they literally became my work dads and my mentors. So there definitely was a diverse set of scribes for me to be interested in pharmacy school. And then I also had coworkers who were interested in dental school, PA school, nursing school, and of course medical school. Three things that I learned about pharmacy in the emergency room was everyone's different meds and those random off-label uses, and just I love being able to guess what meds people were on when they started listing off their past medical history. Someone would come in and they're yeah, I've got this. I'm lisinopril? And then they were yeah, take lisinopril for that. And I'm hey. Or even there got to a point where someone would say I don't know, I forgot the name of that one blood pressure med, and that one blood pressure med, and I'd say it, and I'm like, oh, are you thinking of so and so? And they're like, yeah. And like my provider would like give me a dab because they knew I was interested in pharmacy. Because a lot of the providers knew I was interested in pharmacy, they always like kind of like threw that knowledge with me, or they would mention something about pharmacy regarding that specific disease state, and like it was great. It was like free school. It was amazing. Along with the cool stuff, like I said, just like code blues and traumas and stuff, there was also the nasty stuff, such as like poop, vomit, and then there was also the patients that would cuss you out, which is always great. I really think working in the emergency room has definitely hardened me. One of the perks, of course, is like the free food in the lounges, especially when you're working with an MD or DO. Of course, we would go to the doctor's lounge and we just get free food and free drinks and everything. It was amazing. I definitely worked out a lot during my gap year because of that. But also another perk was just like the experiences I had. I learned a lot from not only just the providers, but also the pharmacists, and I just learned from the nurses. Like, nurses are so overlooked. You guys, like, so of course I was there for all of the traumas, all the code blues. I was there for everything. I was there for, you know, agitated patients that threw stuff, you know, there was a lot of different things going on all the time. I feel like my experience dealing with a lot of like a range of patients has really helped me diffuse like any type of patient situation now. So my typical schedule in the beginning was like a range of things because I was a new scribe, as well as it was summertime. So a lot of the scribes that were currently in school, you know, had priority, and that didn't really bother me because by the time school started, I started working full time because it was officially my gap year. So I didn't mind enjoying my summer and just like working here and then. So I did a range of shifts in the beginning, and then once school started for everyone else and I was starting my gap year, I went to mostly evening and nights. So I would typically work from 4 to midnight, 6 to 2, 8 to 4, or 10 to 6 a.m. And honestly, I absolutely loved it. Obviously, like a lot of like the crazy stuff happens at nighttime. Don't get me wrong, crazy stuff still happens during the day, but I loved the nighttime shift. I loved the nighttime nurses. I loved it. Every now and then I did have to cover a day shift, which really messed up my circadian rhythm, but whatever. So my gap year experience really ended my first semester of P1 year in pharmacy school, because once school started, I really went PRN. I did go part-time before that, but I'll get to that as I break down there are other events that happened during my gap year. So as I mentioned, I basically got my scribe position after graduating college in May, officially trained in June, and I was basically on my own by time August came when the school year started. So because I was in school, I was working, and I actually got to spend a lot of time on my grad school application, which was amazing. I know a lot of people who mentioned, you know, doing applications during school sucked. And so I felt like I really had an advantage to dive into my application and give it my all, you know, and write the best personal statement I could, write the best scholarship application I could, because I had time to, you know. So PharmCast opened, I believe, late June, early July, and I submitted my application within 1 week. And that was very advantageous for me because I wasn't in summer classes or anything. I had already finished my personal statement because I started working on it when I graduated college. So I had about a month and a half to work on it. And luckily I had actually had to write a personal philosophy paper that last semester of my undergraduate degree. And so I kind of used that and just tweaked it and turned it into my philosophy, as well as what I want to do with my life as a pharmacist. So that was perfect for me. So the rest of that year, basically, after I got accepted into December, was just me enjoying my gap year. My birthday is in November, so we went to New Orleans and we had some fun. I brought in my birthday on some beignets, like, and for Christmas, we spent Christmas at Disney. Yeah, I enjoyed my family. I enjoyed my boyfriend. I just enjoyed all the downtime I had. I enjoyed making money, working full time. Y'all, holiday pay in the hospital. fast forward to 2019. I just like set my alerts for like pharmacy intern jobs, pharmacy tech jobs, things like that. And finally I was contacted by a retail pharmacy that I mentioned in my previous video. And I obtained a pharmacy internship there in May. So you may be thinking, like, how did you become an intern before actually getting your intern license? Let me tell you. Technically, my application was submitted under pharmacy intern. In my cover letter, I mentioned how like I'm starting school in August and I'll officially become an intern there, but I wanted to kind of get some experience beforehand. So I was hired on as a tech, and then once I obtained my intern license, I got a raise, and then I switched from a smock to my white coat, and then I was an intern. So May 2019 through August 2019 was mostly me just working part-time in the retail setting as well as part-time in the hospital. I didn't really want to leave my Scribe job because I absolutely loved it, and I loved everyone, and I met some amazing people, as well as I got a $4,500 scholarship from my hospital, which I would not have gotten without my gap year. So, tea on the scholarship. Basically, every year my specific hospital does like scholarships for not only employees, but like it can be a child of an employee. We also do auxiliary scholarships, so like you can be you don't even have to work for us or be affiliated with us, but you can also apply for one of those. It's not as much as the ones that employees get. And I just was like, sure, I guess might as well. I submitted an application. I got a call like a week later, and I came in for an interview. Next week I was coming home from work and I was checking my voicemail, and there was a voicemail that said, hey, you've been awarded a scholarship and it's $4,500. And that, like, literally I wasn't even expecting that much. I was thinking it was gonna be like $300, and I was like, bruh. It was amazing, and I definitely owe that to like me taking a gap year. There's definitely no way I would have got that scholarship without a gap year. It was fate. So come August, I had officially been working in the retail setting for several months, and I had learned a lot. I definitely enjoyed the difference between, working in a hospital in like very fast and acute setting versus a very chill paced setting. Although my store was actually super busy, but it still wasn't like, a code blue or me running to a trauma, So I really did enjoy that balance, and I definitely owe like my position that I'm in now, like knowing where I want to be in the pharmacy world, to both of those experiences, because now I know that I want like a perfect in between. So most of my duties over the summer when I was a tech before turning intern was just learning the basics. It was learning data entry, how to fill, how to refill, how to bill insurance. I did get the chance to obviously learn a lot of different drugs because like there were super common things that we were filling. And then because I had that previous emergency room knowledge, I'd be like, oh, okay. So that was really cool to be able to tie everything together. So I'm currently editing this video, and for the second time in a row, I have forgotten to shoot an outro. So I hope my gap year experience helped you as you are planning your gap experience or deciding if you want to take a gap year experience. I absolutely loved mine. I definitely feel like there was no other way for me personally. I just personally wanted a break. I wanted to only apply to grad school once, and I wanted to do it right. So I knew I wanted to take time and do it right, as well as I got a scholarship during it, and I had a great time. I made some money. I enjoyed my family. I enjoyed my lover. So my gap year was amazing. I definitely don't regret it, and I would definitely take another one if I had the option. So I hope this helped. I love you guys. If you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe below.